All right, so now to the cleanup. And, you know, Vlad, you pointed out also the morning following the storm that began as Hurricane Ida. It swept across thousands of miles, leaving behind a wake of widespread destruction and, unfortunately, death as well. So far, at least 58 deaths have been blamed on Ida, including 45 in the Northeast and 13 in the South. Record-setting rainfall set storm water rushing into homes and vehicles, trapping many in devastating flash floods. The death toll was highest in New Jersey, where at least 25 people were killed. Most drowned after they became trapped in their cars. Others were swept away by the fast-moving waters after getting out of their vehicles. CBS News correspondent Mola Lenghi has more from Wayne, New Jersey.
Flooding is still a concern as some of the larger rivers in the area continue to rise, including the Passaic River behind me here. At least one person was killed when he was swept up in floodwaters not too far from here, and the search is being ramped up now for two missing college students whose vehicle may have gotten pulled into this river.
I'm transporting right now.
Across the Northeast, first responders rescue those in danger from rising tides and powerful floods. In New Jersey, this police officer saved a man stuck in his submerged car. Boats went house to house in Delaware and Pennsylvania to save the stranded. Meanwhile, these New York residents were carried to safety on a bulldozer. Matt Bush Jr. escaped the water on the shoulders of a first responder.
Because it's really deep and I'm cold.
Ida tore through the region, leaving flooded neighborhoods, a submerged stadium, and rushing water strong enough to send this shipping container floating and pile cars on top of each other.
We wasn't prepared for anything like this. This is the worst I've ever seen it, even with Sandy.
When Hakeem Hampton's basement started flooding, he tried to drive to a friend's house to borrow a pump.
You had to climb out a window?
I climbed out the window because I knew if I opened the doors, all that water was, get in the vehicle.
Is that scary?
I was kind of nervous, so I didn't know what to expect, but thank God I'm safe, made it back safely, and now this is the aftermath of what we're going through.
In places where water has receded, communities are left to dry out and pick up the pieces.
Look at that tornado!
Crews are cleaning up towns torn apart by tornadoes and fixing crumbled roads that swallowed up cars. Governor Phil Murphy toured the damage in New Jersey.
This is going to take us some time to dig out of, there's no question about it.
As the storm moved through the region, homes flooded, and the New York City subway system shut down after the onslaught of rain.
Storms affect all of us, but what we've got to recognize is the suddenness, the brutality of storms now. It is different.
People across the region were caught off guard by the rare weather, described as a once-in-500-years event. Now, all the more common because of climate change.
It's time for an entirely different approach because we're getting a signal here. We have to make a change to protect the lives of the people of this city.
As the death toll continues to rise, those who made it to safety are especially grateful.
I know we lost everything, materialistic, everything, that you can just repair, but family you can't bring back.
Well, there are still many streets, parking lots, driveways like this one, at least it used to be a driveway, that remain underwater in the area. It could take some time for a lot of this standing water to recede, and only then can these communities begin to really assess the damage. Anne-Marie and Vlad.
All right, Mola Lenghi, thank you very, very much. We appreciate your reporting. And President Biden is expected to visit Louisiana today to assess the damage from Ida. CBS News correspondent Mireya Villareal joins us now from New Orleans to talk about it. So Mireya, what can we expect from the president's visit to the area today?
Hey, Vlad, how's it going? As of right now, we understand that he will land in the New Orleans area, and then he is going to eventually drive to a couple of locations and also take a tour, really, of all of the... Sorry, guys. He's going to take a drive and then also fly around a lot of the areas where that have been affected heavily by Hurricane Ida. We know that he really wants to see how things have fared, especially with the levees and also what the situation is with fuel, as well as some of the FEMA responses that have happened here on the ground.
Just so you know, I know you had a little bit of an audio hiccup there or something. We can hear you perfectly. Mireya, I talked to you earlier this morning, and you have been sort of out and about beyond New Orleans, checking out some of the communities outside of New Orleans, and some of them are pretty upset. They haven't really received the aid that they were expecting. They're watching the TV news and they're seeing other communities getting support, and they're wondering, why is it taking so long for FEMA or the state to deliver essential resources to them? What's the holdup?
Just so we know, I mean, listen, we started this journey earlier this week in Houma. That's where we hunkered down during the hurricane. They had the same issues that we're seeing, obviously, in Killian. When you have an area like New Orleans, it's very clear that they are going to become the priority, because the density, the population density here is just, you serve more people if you get the power on faster. But that's very frustrating to people that live on the outliers, you know, the Houmas or the Killians of the world. And really what we're hearing from them is more of a frustration is, look, we get it that the electricity may not immediately come on. It may be a few weeks before you get to us. Fine, we understand. But in order for us to make it those few weeks, we need the essentials. We need the water, the ice, the food, the MREs, the supplies, the baby diapers, you know, the feminine hygiene products even. And so for them, this is a moment of saying, listen, we will be patient if you actually work with us on this. And I think right now what we're seeing, especially in Killian, is this feeling that, you know, they couldn't even get emergency vehicles in and out of some of these neighborhoods. People were coming out with their own chainsaws to cut their ways in and out to help to make sure their own neighbors were safe. And what those small communities are saying is, we need bigger help here.
Mireya, we know that you've reported that power is back on in the New Orleans region, and we can see the lights on behind you. Although it's not perfect yet, there are still issues that people in New Orleans are facing. But let's talk about the entire region. What are we hearing about power for the rest of the folks who don't live in the city?
You know, when we went out to Killian yesterday, it was very clear that that whole area out there, about 60 miles northwest of New Orleans, doesn't have power yet, right? So, but as we were coming into Hammond, for example, you know, another 10 miles away from that area, we saw a lot of the lights and the power on there. So I think it's really spotty at this point. Clearly, there is a plan in place by a lot of these energy companies of where they want to strategically get the power up and running. It might be, again, like we talked about, the density of population. Where are we going to do the most good for the most amount of people? On top of that, you know, after these hurricanes hit, we have heard, where is the need? Well, we need to be able to get, you know, gasoline for our generators, food for our families. And so how can we get electricity to those places? So we might see a lot more shopping centers, for example, be turned on, and that's with purpose to make sure that people can survive out in the communities, even if they don't have power for 2-3 days after those shopping centers turn on. So as of right now, we understand that, again, parts of the French Quarter have electricity. But just to be very clear, I got electricity about 2 or 3 blocks away from the French Quarter, but the crews are staying at a completely different location, less than a mile from me, and they still have not gotten their electricity turned on. So again, it is a street-by-street basis here right now.
So I suppose one of the good news stories to come out of Hurricane Ida is that the levees in New Orleans, they did their job and they held. That being said, this was a monster storm, and you know the expectation is we're going to see more of these in the future. How does New Orleans prepare for the next Ida?
You know, it's not just New Orleans. I think what we're looking at is how can this state and really a lot of the Gulf states better prepare and learn from the situation. It's always a learning process after every storm. People come and do what's called a postmortem. How can we take a look at what went wrong and what went right? And I think the biggest issue that we're going to see focus on is a communication issue. You know, we've heard a lot of public works directors, especially here in New Orleans and surrounding areas, say, listen, we can deal with no electricity. We're used to that. We can deal with maybe even the fuel situation. We can get back online a little faster. However, the communication issue is a big problem because when that hurricane hits, yes, we don't send first responders out in a Cat 4 storm, but immediately when the winds die down, we've got to be able to get to people that need it most. We got to be able to do those essential rescues. And what we were hearing as we were in Houma, one of the hardest hit areas is they had no communication whatsoever with each other, much less with the community. So really what they were having to do is go out and do those door-to-door knocks and checks. And that is putting themselves in harm's way by doing that. That is basically saying we don't know what it looks like on this street or that street, but because we understand people haven't evacuated. We're just going to have to kind of take a chance and see if people flag us down from where they are. So it's very clear that communication is going to be the focus after Hurricane Ida. And, you know, Anne-Marie, we talked about this. There's a lot of discussion, right, about, well, can we put some of these lines, whether it be electrical or communication lines, underground? That is always going to be a huge discussion after hurricanes or any other devastating situation like a wildfire or a tornado. But to do that and to retrofit that in some of these older towns that have, you know, very old lines, I mean, that's going to take billions of dollars. And that's not just a state issue. That's going to become a federal issue as well. So, you know, again, I think in the meantime, they've got to work with these communications companies to make sure that they have plans in place to have backup upon backup when these kinds of situations happen.
Right. Okay, Mireya, thank you.
You know, Anne-Marie, one of the things that